Hi and welcome or welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. So please excuse my wet hair because I've just got out of the shower, but I am here for a very exciting video that is around Heartstopper. So obviously with the release of Heartstopper on Netflix, which I am incredibly excited for but haven't managed to watch yet, but I'm hopefully starting to watch it today, I decided to actually make a Heartstopper themed video that is recommendations for people who love Heartstopper. So if you really enjoyed Heartstopper and want something new to read, then stick around for the remainder of this video. This video will be a mixture of YA, I think it's all YA pretty much, or at least like older YA, and a mix of like younger and older YA, and graphic novels. I thought I'd do a mixture of graphic novels that have similar kind of like comforting, cozy vibes, and LGBT YA novels, full-length novels. I think most, if not all of these are LGBT or don't have really relationships in them to kind of like put them either way. But yeah, let's get started with the recommendations. So I'm not going to go at this in any particular order, so it will probably be just like a mixture of graphic novels and novels, but my first one is a graphic novel, and that is Mooncakes by Wendy Zhu and Suzanne Walker. This is one of my favourite graphic novels. I read this last year and it was one of my favourite books of the year. I absolutely love this book. It is incredibly beautiful. This is the collector's edition that we have in the UK. And I think it's probably actually, it's American as well. And it is just stunning. The artwork in this is absolutely beautiful. I honestly, the colour scheme, I love. But anyway, this one follows Nova, who is a witch and she works in her grandmother's bookshop. Honestly, what's not to love? It's also really, really witchy as a book. There's a bookshop, there's a cat. There's spirits. It's gay. I don't know what more I can say about this. Honestly, it is just absolutely beautiful. It's such a lovely story. There is a non-binary main character in this, which I love, who is also a werewolf. And it's just so interesting. It talks about family, it talks about relationships, it talks about friendships. And it's also this kind of like tense plot between witches and werewolves and magical creatures and spirits, and I just absolutely loved it. Read it in one sitting one evening and I couldn't recommend it enough. I love this book. And then obviously in no particular order, I'm going to recommend History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I wanted to include an Adam Silvera book in this list, however, I am not about to recommend They Both Die at the End. As much as I love it, I think everyone is recommending it right now, and it's not actually my favourite Adam Silvera book. This is my favourite Adam Silvera book. History Is All You Left Me is just absolutely beautiful. It will make you cry just as much as you did at They Both Die at the End, but I feel like this one has something just extra special that really broke my heart. So this one follows Griffin as he loses his first love in a drowning accident. So this is somebody he was with before, isn't with anymore, so it's his ex-boyfriend, but they're still very close friends. And in this kind of like grief in the aftermath of Theo's death, he actually becomes friends with Theo's new boyfriend and they kind of get through this together. This one was very impactful, very heartwarming, very beautiful. It did obviously make me cry. It was very, very sad, as Adam Silvera always does, but I just absolutely love this one. I think this is definitely my favourite Adam Silvera book. And the next book I want to recommend is going back to a graphic novel, and this is The Sad Ghost Club by Liza Meddings. I really love this graphic novel. It is so, so cute. It follows a ghost, or somebody kind of as a ghost, like a character of a ghost. I don't quite know how to explain the character of this book, who is really, really struggling with their mental health, feeling very anxious, and goes to this party. They kind of don't want to be there, but they also want to kind of force themselves to be there and kind of get out in the world. They're feeling really low, and at this party they find somebody else just like them. It is a very cute story, a very simple story. It's very beautiful. There is a second volume which I haven't read yet, but you will have probably seen these all over Twitter or Instagram. I often see these, so when I found this book I really, really wanted to read it, and it is just very heartwarming. I love the idea of this, and I always love seeing these little snippets pop up on my feed, often on Twitter as well, and I love it. There is not really like a relationship focus to this one. It's just a very cute story about friendship and it's very heartwarming. And next we're going back to a novel. I don't know if I can do this like novel, graphic novel, novel, graphic novel, because I don't think I have enough graphic novels, but for now that's what we're doing, just because I picked them up that way. But the next one is a novel, and that is I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. This one focuses on a non-binary main character who has come out to their parents as non-binary and is then forced out of their home. So they go to live with their sister, and it's basically about them kind of coming to terms with the fact that they're non-binary, trying to kind of explain that to everybody around them, and also start a new school, which is obviously something that is a big challenge for them as well. This is a very beautiful story. It's just very heartwarming, also very difficult to read in places, which I think is something that Alice Oseman also does really, really well with Heartstopper, and I think all of them really tackle difficult subjects but in a really heartwarming and beautiful way, and I Wish You All the Best is no different. It also centres a very, very cute LGBT relationship, which I love, so yeah, highly recommend. And next we have Autobiography, which was one I actually threw on here a bit last minute. This one is an older YA, maybe more new adult, slightly more new adult book, which is a gay romance. It's male. I absolutely love this. I didn't expect to love this as much as I did. I don't read that much YA contemporary or romance anymore, and I only picked this one up last year, I think, and I sped through it. It was so good. I was hooked. It's by Christina Lauren, who is also the author of, actually it's two people that write these books, but they're the author of The Unhoneymooners and a few others that have been very popular on TikTok recently, so you probably recognise the name. So this one follows Tanner, who has moved from California to Utah with his parents, and this move has temporarily put him back in the closet, but he just wants to get through the rest of high school and move out and manage to get out in the world and actually come out of the closet again. But there is a boy that actually kind of makes him want to come out of the closet again for this one boy, but things are quite difficult because Sebastian, who is this boy that he meets, is a Mormon, and there is a lot more to it in the rest of the story. I really like this one. I think it discusses some really important issues that we don't see a lot in YA, and I think the relationship was done really well as well. It had a bittersweet ending, which I always love, and yeah, I'd highly recommend this one if you're looking for a male-male romance. So the next one I want to recommend is The Falling in Love Montage by Kira Smith. I read this one last year, and again, it's another YA contemporary romance that I just didn't expect to love as much as I did, and I just absolutely loved it. I read it in a day, I think, as part of a readathon, absolutely sped through it, and this is also the same author as Not My Problem, which is just won the older readers book prize with the Waterstones Children's Book Prize, I believe, won the older readers category, which I haven't read yet, but I'm very excited to. This one is set in Ireland. It's a female romance this time, and it is very similar actually to Autobiography, in which Saoirse, the main character, wants to kind of have this summer where she is getting over her ex and just being with her friends and is not in the closet, but is also not looking for a relationship, and then she comes across this girl and everything changes, and this was just so cute, but also dealt with some really, really difficult topics. The main character's mother, Saoirse's mother, has dementia, I think, if I'm remembering rightly, and that brings in this whole kind of undertone of really, really difficult things that she's dealing with that I thought were written about really, really well, and I really loved that. So yeah, highly recommend this one. I feel like I need to stop saying I highly recommend them, because obviously this video is a recommendations video, so obviously I recommend all of these books very highly. And the next book I want to recommend, we are back to a graphic novel, and that is The Tea Dragon Society, and this is by Kay O'Neill. This graphic novel series is so cute. I read all of these in, I think, October last year. It was around like fall, autumn time last year, and I absolutely love these. These are so beautiful. They are these big format graphic novels with these absolutely stunning illustrations, and although they're very different to Heartstopper, they are also kind of the same kind of feeling that you get in that like cozy graphic novels. I just absolutely love this. If you're looking for something like very light-hearted, simple, but also has some really interesting themes, one of the characters in this one, I think it was in the second one, specifically focused on is deaf, and I feel like the way they use sign language just comes across so well. I also think there might be a non-binary character, but I might be misremembering. I think the author's non-binary. But yeah, I might be misremembering. But this one follows Greta, who is a blacksmith's apprentice, and she becomes entwined in the world of the tea dragons, which are these little guys, and oh my gosh, these are the most adorable beings. You will want one. There is like a key in the back where you can see all of the personalities of the tea dragons throughout the book, and they are just so cute. I love these. Love them. I love this series so much. I want to give this to anybody who's like having a hard time, because these are the best things to escape into because they're so easy to read and just so beautiful. So highly recommend, again, of course. And next up we have We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. Again, I really wanted to include a book by Nina LaCour, and I just saw this on my shelf and thought, yes, this is the one that I want to recommend. Nina LaCour mainly writes, or pretty much all writes, sapphic fiction, and I've read Everything Leads to You, You Know Me Well, and We Are Okay. I have Hold Still left to read, and I think a few others. But this one, honestly, I love them all. I think I've given all of them, well, definitely this and Everything Leads to You, 5 stars. This one is a very short book. I read it over a couple of days a couple of years ago in the middle of winter, and it is absolutely beautiful. It is very sad though, and it will definitely make you cry. So this one follows Marion, who I think, if I remember rightly, is living in her college dorm room over kind of like the Christmas winter period where there's nobody else there. And I think it's told between like flashbacks of like present day and something that happened, something big that happened to her. And it's also following how she's kind of waiting for one of her friends to come and visit her, and throughout that trip as well. And this one is just an absolutely beautiful portrayal of grief and loss and friendship and relationships, and I just absolutely loved it, and I would obviously recommend it. And then we have What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, so there is another Adam Silvera in here. I was umming and ahhing about whether to include this one, but I've seen it on a few other lists as well, and I think it is definitely one that you will enjoy if you like Heartstopper, because it is a male-male romance. It's set in New York City, and it's like a meet-cute romance as well, following Arthur and Ben, who cross paths in a post office and then eventually kind of meet again through chance, and things kind of happen from there. It's very cute. I love these two characters. I haven't read the second book yet, which I can't remember the name of, but this one, obviously with Adam Silvera being a co-writer or author of this book, it is a little bit sad and a little bittersweet at the end. Here's to Us is the name of the second one, which I can't wait to read. I need to still pick up. But yeah, this one, very good, and I would highly recommend this series if you are looking for another male-male romance. Okay, next up, I wasn't sure whether to include an Alice Oseman book in this video, because obviously you guys have all read Heartstopper if you're watching this, probably, or at least watched the show. So I have included an Alice Oseman book, but I've included Radio Silence, which is actually the latest Alice Oseman book I've personally read. I think this is one of her first books, if I remember rightly, but it is the one I picked up most recently, and I feel like when I picked this up I was feeling like it would be maybe a little bit too young for me, and I fell in love with it. I think it was not last November, the November before, when I picked this up, and I was ill at the time, and I was listening to this partly on audiobook and reading it partly physically, and I just fell in love with it. I couldn't put it down. I think I read it in a day. It was just absolutely great. And as the Osemanverse works, some of the characters also turn up in this, I believe, or at least are featured in Heartstopper or in the TV show, or something happens there. And this one follows Frances, who is a very hard-working student who doesn't really have any other focus but her studies, but then she comes across Alid and becomes friends with him. This one is just really cute. It includes a podcast, which is, I think, called Radio Silence, and it is just this really beautiful kind of blossoming friendship that's actually a male-female friendship that doesn't go anywhere in terms of like a romantic relationship, which I just really loved. I think this one's really heartwarming, and it just is probably the one that surprised me the most in terms of the Osemanverse, so this is the one I would recommend, which was a hard decision, but I love this book. And the next one I want to recommend, I don't actually have a copy anymore because I gave it to my friend Alex, who absolutely loved it. So that obviously shows a lot. I think we'd both safely recommend this book, and that is Date Me, Bryson Keller by Kevin Van Wy. This is again a male-male romance that is set in a high school, and basically this follows Bryson Keller and Kai Sheridan. Every week Bryson Keller, who comes across as a bit of a player at the start of the book, dates somebody new in the school. He always dates girls though, but one week Kai Sheridan decides to ask him out and see what happens, and basically things go on from there. This is a story about identity. Again, it's set in a high school, much like the Heartstopper series, and it's just really, really beautiful. Me and Alex both love this. I had it sent to me as a proof, and I just really fell in love with it. So yeah, Date Me Bryson Keller is one I would recommend. And the second to last book I want to recommend is another graphic novel, and that is You Brought Me the Ocean by Alex Sanchez and Jewel Moreau, who is the author of Blue is the Warmest Colour. And this is actually a DC graphic novel. This one I was really interested to read because I've never read anything from the DC universe before, but Mark bought this one for me not last Christmas, the Christmas before I believe, and I honestly fell in love with it. So this one follows Aqualad, and it's about him kind of coming to terms with his sexuality, essentially. He lives in this small town called Truth or Consequences, yeah, New Mexico. And it's kind of about him and his kind of obsession with the water, but it's also about him and his obsession with guys, I guess. It's about him kind of like discovering that about himself and his sexuality and trying to kind of come to terms with it and come out to those around him as well. This was just so cute in ways that I just didn't expect to like it. I just fell in love with this book and I thought it was just very, very cute, lovely read. Also has really, really cool colour palette as well. It's like all blue and grey, which I really, really like, and really interesting style. And yeah, this one surprised me. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but Mark chose well. And the last one I want to recommend is the only one in this video that I haven't actually read myself, but my best friend Courtney's read at least the first one and I know she really, really loves this one, and I think if not, she said to me that it's very similar to Heartstopper or would be great for fans of Heartstopper. I've heard that in other places. This is also one that I really, really want to read as well, so I thought I would just kind of throw it on the end of this video as a bit of a bonus, and that is I Hear the Sunspot, which is a manga recommendation. I think this is the only manga on here. And this one follows a boy who has a hearing difficulty and has trouble kind of integrating into the world of life on campus, and then he meets an outgoing guy who he ends up kind of becoming friends with and becoming closer to. I'm not entirely sure if it is a blossoming romance or not. I get the impression that it is, but it's more kind of about their friendship initially. But yeah, I'm hoping to pick this one up very soon because I've heard nothing but good things about it. Anyway, that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed finding out some books that you can read if you loved Heartstopper, whether that be the graphic novels or the Netflix show, which I cannot wait to start watching later on today. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time in another video. Bye.